So, good morning, everybody. My name is Joseba Bilbatua. I am the Smart Cluster Director. Welcome you all to this webinar that the Smart Office is organizing for dealing with this full project proposal stage of our second call for projects that that is running nowadays. So first of all, I will explain a little bit how will be the process of how this webinar tool works. Now all of you are muted. So the idea is that okay, I will present after the agenda of the webinar, but you will have the possibility to raise your hand when okay, at the end of the webinar, when there is open the questions and answers point of the agenda. And so I will see who is who wants to make some question, and then I will unmute him or her. At the same time, you can write your question in the chat. So I will try to have a look on what is being written in the chat area. I think the tool is quite easy to make use of. You will see the icons of the raise your hand or write your comments. I see that. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, I see that people is now starting to write in the chat, so you can even practice. So welcome you all again. We will start the presentation of this webinar about the second call for projects, in which we will go through the following points. So first, I will introduce quite briefly what's Eureka initiative about for those of you that don't know what's Eureka main goals and mission, vision, and so on. But I will focus just some slides, few number of slides, and then I will also present a smart cluster, which our purpose, how we are structured, and also how you can engage in the smart cluster, not only through the presentation of projects, but also becoming a member of the smart cluster community. The third point will focus on the main aspect of this webinar, that is the presentation of the full project proposal phase, and which points are those that has to be clear, explain in detail when you present your proposals. As you know, these proposals will be after evaluated by external evaluators, experts, and I will try to provide you some suggestions and comments on what has to be highlighted in each part of the proposal, because the evaluators will put the focus on that message. So that's the point I will allocate most of my time explaining this webinar. The fourth point will be the some comments coming from the national funding authorities. Some agencies, national agencies, have confirmed that they will join also this teleconference. So it will be possible even for you to make or to write or say your questions to these national funding agencies in case you have any doubts about how the national programs will support your participation in SMART. In the fifth point of the agenda, I will go through some hints for preparing a good proposal. Of course, most of them have been previously mentioned, but just like conceptual messages that I think it would be fruitful for you. And in the last part of the webinar, we would like to show you how is our website organized, what kind of information you can find there. We have also a section dealing with projects looking for partners that you can also look, and even who knows, you can find also opportunities to engage your entity in proposals that are being prepared now. The final point of the agenda will be the questions and answers, where you will have opportunity to you to make your question. So, okay, let's go then, and I will introduce the Eureka initiative quite briefly. So, Eureka is an international cooperation platform where many countries are involved. Nowadays, I think we are 41 countries plus the European Commission is also participating. So the idea is to create this intergovernmental network in the 1985 was promoted in order to launch and support market-oriented projects. That's the main goal is to improve competitiveness of the industry. At the beginning, it was mainly focused on SMEs. Now, the Eureka goal has been open to other stakeholders, not only SMEs but also large companies, research centers, and universities as well. And the final goal is how to facilitate the access to national finance for those entities interested to collaborate in an international level. So the the message behind the Eureka is that, okay, it's an international network where the consortia are international. There has to be more than two countries involved in each project. We will see later which are the eligibility criteria. But the funding is decentralized. That means that the funding is coming from the different countries supporting Eureka. We will go through it after as well. This is the network of Eureka Network. You see, 41 members, 40 countries, plus European Commission. And not only Europe is involved in Eureka, you can find also other countries like Canada, South Korea, South Africa, Chile are associated countries now. I would say full members as the others, and there are also collaboration agreements that is called international cooperation agreements with other countries like United States, Brazil, Argentina, okay, China, and this Japan. These countries have also agreements with Eureka to collaborate. After we will see which of those countries are nowadays supporting a smart cluster. Then, okay, some characteristics of the sorry, wait a minute. That's good. Yes, some characteristics of the Eureka initiatives. Um, all the projects promoted by Eureka have to be market oriented. That means that the kind of projects supported are close to the market and are not at lower tier rail levels, this technology readiness level. Also, the projects have to be innovative, have to promote international cooperation. And one of the key aspects is that they have to promote the bottom-up approach. This bottom-up approach means that the topics of the project and the main goals of the project have to be promoted by the industries. And then the research centers and universities and other technology providers provide the solutions to deal with these problems identified by the industry, but always following this bottom-up approach. It's not a top-down, starting from technologies and trying to engage industries. It's just the contrary. So this bottom-up approach is important to keep in mind. Yes, yeah, okay. And one important point also is that all of you, all the promoters, and are in the driving seats of the Eureka initiatives. All the activities promoted by Eureka have in mind always the interest not only of the participant countries, of course, the members, but also what's the industry, what's the market requesting, what's the social trends, what are the challenges that the social the community, not only European community, is dealing with. It can deal with energy, environmental impact, cost reduction, competitiveness. So it's important to think that you are in the driving seat of the Eureka programs. And here it's how Eureka activity it fits with the different initiatives at the European level, the programs Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe, and these global European initiatives follow an European strategy. That's clear. In the other side, we have the national initiatives that mainly devoted to create this critical mass and differentiation of the national competitiveness. And Eureka, uh, okay, this, as I have been saying, try to promote this transnational collaboration, but following national priorities. So that's important also to keep in mind that it's at the end are the national priorities, the national governments who found and who put the money for promoting and sustaining the activity of the Eureka program. So always following national priorities. Now, going to what's a cluster about. Cluster is, I would say, is a public-private partnership in the sense that there is a private side uh, composed by mainly by industries. No? So this is the point to be an industry-led initiative where this private ecosystem, these private participants define what are their main or the most interesting technologies or expectations or collaboration trends, and define also the focus of the technology roadmap of the cluster. The public sides are composed by those national funding agencies of supporting and interested countries who align and set up the programs for supporting the activity of the cluster. So this is the public-private partnership about. And we have a quite flexibility to define our programs, our goals. We promote mainly the participation of SMEs. More than 50% of the partners are SMEs in our projects, in the smart projects. But of course, we have the flexibility to launch more focused calls in other kind of topics or stakeholders. So we have quite a flexible space in smart. Of course, we promote European competitiveness, and as I was mentioning, this is a public-private partnership, and this is also important to have in mind. The financing in each country is decentralized, so the consortia are international, but the funding is coming from each country according to the national regulations and the national programs. One of the points in the agenda, for those that have joined now and have not been at the beginning, will be the presentation of the programs, the national programs from the national funding authorities that will participate in this webinar, and with the information we have. But this will come later. So now I will present what's a smart cluster. So smart is dealing with advanced manufacturing technologies. That's for clear. We point also to technologies from 6 to 8 in the technology readiness level, so close to the market, but those technologies that have been somehow validated in specific scenarios and have to be brought to the market. So what the main goal of the smart clusters are how to upscale, how to mature these technologies for bringing them to the market. Always answering or trying to provide an answer to the societal challenges, to the industry needs, and aligned with the national interest and the strategy. Okay, this in great words is this is smart, and also where we point the focus in the TRL level. You see here the scale of TRL scale. So we would be focusing in the TRL from 5 to 8, from technologies validated in relevant environments, TRL 6, the demonstration, operational environments, TRL 7, up to TRL 8, that will be technologies and systems that are almost ready to be commercialized in the market. That would be TRL 9. This is our structure in the smart cluster governance. We have a cluster board, that is the group of companies that they are in the executive board of the cluster. We have a general assembly where all the partners participate and have the votes. We have a close contact with the public authorities board that are the public side of this public-private public partnership. It's important to have this close contact with the public authorities board in order to always be aligned with the main interests of the different countries supporting the SMART, as I have been mentioning. We have a technical committee that is composed by members of the cluster, the SMART cluster, and this technical committee ensures that the technological roadmap the technology roadmap of SMART is always up to date and also responding to what the industries are requesting. And we have the cluster office that from which I am the director, in which we provide the day-to-day assistance to the cluster, to the partners, to the national funding authorities. We launch the course, we prepare the dissemination, these webinars as well, and we are the office in which you can rely and you can contact to in case you have any kind of need, doubt, you need information, or even if you have to find partners for your project. These are the companies nowadays being members of the board, the SMART board. So the chair is being the presidency of is being chaired by Mondragon Corporation. We have the vice chair is Airbus and the secretary IK4, and we have some other companies and entities coming from the different countries supported by supporting a smart cluster. Group Antolin is an automotive sector from the automotive sector, JKN aerospace from aerospace sector, and Grupo Rollo is an consumer goods producer, and we have representatives also from the research center institutions like Series, RISE. Okay, this is not Esperia anymore. Now it's RISE. We have to update this image. High Iris Manufacturing Research, and SBOOM is an SME. More than 150 organizations are supporting SMART and have joined to SMART. Here you can see the distribution coming from the countries. So we have representatives for many countries. Okay, and this is by December 2017. And this is the countries that are nowadays supporting SMART. This is important because we differentiate from the supporting countries and interested countries. Supporting countries are those Eureka countries that are interested in a SMART cluster, but not only interested in the topic, but they also allocate an amount of their funding, of their programs to support directly a SMART cluster. And within supporting countries, we have Austria, Flanders region in Belgium, Chile, Czech Republic, Denmark, Lithuania, Norway, Portugal, Slovakia, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, United Kingdom, and Turkey. These are the 14 countries supporting SMART nowadays. And additionally, we have another 9 countries that are called interested countries, also from the Eureka community. There are Belgium, Brussels region, Canada, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, Israel, Russia, Slovenia, and Switzerland. And these interested countries have confirmed their interest in SMART, and they have also committed themselves to find national, to leverage national programs for supporting SMART. But they will analyze in a case-by-case basis the funding of their national entities. But of course, they have the national programs, and also partners from these interested countries can be also members of the SMART project consortia. Additionally, from the rest of countries, from the Eureka community, they can also participate in SMART. But in that case, each partner will have to contact their corresponding national agency to check if there are programs for supporting advanced manufacturing or SMART projects. But in that case, you can contact also the SMART office, and we will provide any kind of help. But have in mind which are the countries supporting nowadays. And I have to say that we are growing. We started with a small number of countries, and the last countries that have confirmed their support has been United Kingdom and Denmark, and we have some others in just also considering the support. So we expect that in the future this list of supported and interested countries will be even higher. As I mentioned, you can join Smart. You can become a member, become a supporting partner. So, in case you are interested to become a member of Smart and participate both in the board or both in the technical committee or participate in the matchmaking events or brokerage events and so on, you can contact the Smart office and we will provide all the information on how you can join Smart. As I mentioned, the smart cluster projects are open to any entity coming from Eureka countries, and it's important to point out that all the smart label projects, when they are evaluated positively, and all those partners from those smart label projects that get public funding from their respective national funding authorities will be charged from the Smart Office with a 1.5% fee of their final eligible budget. This fee is being used by the Smart Office to sustain our structure because we are a private public-private partnership that we are not supported by external funders, and the only way of keeping our activity for the 7 years that we have been labeled by Eureka is to apply this fee to the smart label projects. So this is a common practice in all the clusters approved by Eureka, and also in the case of Smart. So this is something important to keep in mind for you from the beginning, that there will be this charge in case your project receives funding once it has been labeled. Then, okay, I will go now to the smart call for projects. So probably, let's see, I will check if there are questions. Yeah. Okay, there are some questions regarding the distribution of the PPT, of course. This PPT will be distributed to all of you in PDF format. And I have to say that the webinar is being recorded, so we will made it public accessible through our smart website, so you can also check the webinar recording after the webinar, or you can share the information with any colleague. Okay, so of course you will be able to do it. Then wait a minute, I would. Yes. Okay, then I will focus now in the smart second call for projects. First, just what the technical scope of Smart. We focus our activity in these 6 pillars that you see now on the screen. Okay, briefly, advanced manufacturing processes are those manufacturing processes that deal with new materials, or that need special or innovative approaches. For example, in the case of integration of non-conventional machining processes, laser, chemical, ultrasonic, additive manufacturing, but also when you want to produce or to transform new materials like fiber-based composite materials, light metallic alloys or high-strength alloys. If you want to increase the volume, the production volume, or if you have to provide the new functionalities to the component, to the product through surface manufacturing processes, microtexturing, coatings. I mean, there are different, this domain will cover all the manufacturing processes, thinking always in advanced manufacturing processes that needs to be developed to be improved in the production production of components. A second domain is dealing with the technical, the intelligent and adaptive manufacturing systems. This will be more the hardware related domain, in which we include all the machine tools, we include the fixturing, also measurement systems, robots, automatization, monitoring, sensors, and advanced metrology, okay, non-destructive inspection systems. So you see all the hardware related systems, more in this sense, but also quite open. Not only the machine tools, but also fixturing, robots, automation, and inspection, for example. The third domain is dealing with the digital, virtual, and efficient companies. In that case, we include here all the technologies that could be close to the Industry 4.0, and that approach at the simulation, modeling, use of information through the different layers of the production in the factory, or even between different stakeholders of the value chain, how this we can make use of virtual reality, augmented reality, how cybersecurity could affect the manufacturing value chains. I mean, in this domain, we would cover all this Industry 4.0 technology approach. In the fourth domain is the person-machine collaboration, in the sense that we consider not only the information provided to the partner or to the operator, but also how to make the working place more accessible, more friendly to the workers. For example, it will reduce emissions, reduce noise, make more ergonomic environments, or we introduce human-robot collaboration in order to have this cobots approach. We introduce the automatization, and how this the augmented reality also provide this help for the operator in the working place. So this will be the person-machine collaboration domain. The fifth domain is the sustainable manufacturing. Here we see those technologies oriented to reduce the energy and raw material consumption in manufacturing, but also those concepts coming now from the circular economy, reusing, remanufacturing, recycling, redesign according to the future disassembly, and, use of the products when they have reached the end of life, and also how we can reduce the carbon footprint in manufacturing. This sustainable manufacturing understood in that ways. And the final domain is what we call customer-based manufacturing, where we include the complete value chain from the raw material provider up to the end user, and also including the technologies provider, certification bodies, standardization bodies, or this servitization or new services that could be define it. I mean, okay, this will be more an open domain, this customer-based manufacturing. So these are the 6 domains we have in our technology roadmap. And when we define your project, when you define your project in our call, you will have to identify in which of these domains your project is focusing to. Okay, so this is also important to have in mind for you. Okay, in case your project is more could have several domains. It could be manufacturing, could be technologies, could be sustainable manufacturing. It doesn't matter, but that helps us to later identify which experts fit better to your project. So this is important also for you to keep in mind. Now, going to the to the projects themselves we have in Smart. So they have to fulfill these 4 eligibility criteria. The first one is that the projects have to have at least 2 industrial companies from 2 different Eureka participating countries. This is one of the conditions. And of course, we always have a consortia higher than this minimum, but this is the minimum: 2 industrial companies from 2 different Eureka countries. The project has to be innovative and market oriented. I repeat, this TRL level has to be from the say 6 to 8, and this proximity to the market. So we will see later in the full proposal sections how it's important to provide these messages on impact and knowledge about the market. So innovative and market oriented. Of course, the smart project and all the Eureka projects have to have civil purposes, not military purposes. So they have to be civil approach. The budget has to be balanced between the partners. That means that no partner, no country can have more than the 66% of the total budget. This is another condition eligibility condition in order to have a more balanced, a more distributed activity and effort in the project. So these are the 4 eligibility criteria that all the proposals have to follow in SMART. As you know, we follow this 2 stages procedure in which the project outline is presented in the first stage with the 15 pages with a short document explaining the main goal, main impact, partnership, and so on. And then the full project proposal in which the implementation and the impact and details of the project have to be more elaborated and more detailed described. This is the stage we are now. So, okay, it's mandatory to go through the 2 stages? No. This is also another point to clarify. The full project proposal, the applicants or the the partner, the consortia can apply directly to the full project proposal stage without going through the PO. But in that case, you will have to inform us as a smart office that you intend to apply to the full project proposal without having been submitted a PO. And also you will have to inform your national agency that you intend to do that. These are the conditions if you want to go to the full project proposal directly. And I have to say that not all the countries, not all the national agencies agree with that procedure of going directly to the FPP phase. So I would highly recommend you to contact the smart office in case you think on going directly to the FPP phase. This will be the procedure. So we launch this second call in the 20th of September in 2018. The first call, the PO phase closed in the 19th of November. So this project outline, these were evaluated by the public authorities and also by SMART with the help of the external evaluators. And their result, the evaluation summary results with the recommendations for how to improve the full project proposals were sent to the applicants. And then we are now in this phase of presenting the full project proposal. The full project proposal, the deadline is in the 15th of March 2019. So now we are 35 days ahead of the deadline. Keep it in mind also, there is still time, but you have to run and to prepare your projects with diligently. And once in the 15th of March, these full project proposals are presented, we will start again evaluation of the projects jointly with the external experts and at the same time with the public authorities. And once those projects have been evaluated, those that have been positively evaluated, they will receive the SMART label. I have to say that this SMART label will be provided only in the case that both evaluation, ours from the SMART and the one made by the public authorities, are both green, I would say, are both positive. That is important because we won't provide the label to any project if there is no chance for the partners to get the funding from the national funding authorities, logically. So this is something you will have to you have to know. Once the project receives the SMART label, then each partner go to the national agency and apply for the national application, national programs, get the funding, and once the national funding is ensured and is assigned, then the project can start. This is the procedure in the smart cluster calls. Just some figures about how many POs we received. We obtained 17 proposals in the PO phase, the 19th of November, for a total project cost of 39 million euros, and with 82 participating organizations coming from 15 different countries. The mean figures, or the mean values of the project were, we had projects up to 5 million euros of total budget, with up to 13 participants, but this is okay. Two is the minimum. I think that we didn't have any consortium with two partners. All of them were higher, but we can see from 6 to 10 participants, which would be the mean value. Engaging 3-4 countries and lasting up to 3 years. Okay, these are just numbers that can vary, and because there is not limits regarding there is not ceiling about the maximum budget one project can have, or even if there is a maximum in the number of partners that one project consortium could engage. There are no limits in that sense, even how many countries. You will have to respect always the minimum eligibility criteria. I explained it before, but there is not ceiling, there is not limit in the other direction, up direction. I will check if there are questions now. I want to say the limit for the budget 60% with Eureka. Okay, there are some questions, but I see that yeah, the presentation, I repeat, that will be accessible, and then we will enter with the national comments, the national programs after. So once the project have been evaluated in the PO phase, the consortia obtain the evaluation summary report with our recommendations from the SMART and the value experts, but also from the national funding authorities. And these recommendations are dealing with innovation, excellence, quality of the exploitation plan, if there have been identified risks or gaps and weak points in the proposal that have to be improved, and also what has been the feedback from the national funding authorities regarding how the project aligns or not with the national funding programs. So this is important to apply to the PO phase, because it provides you this information, these suggestions, and these weak points for having more success in the FPP phase. But as I mentioned before, it's possible to apply directly to FPP stage, closing on 15th March this year. First, please contact the Smart Office informing us about that point. But know that you can apply directly also to the FPP stage. Okay, now I will start with the full project proposal stage. That is the main interest of the participant in the webinar. Is 10 past 11. I have consumed 35 minutes, so I will try to the next half an hour focus on the full project proposal stage, and then we will move to the national funding authorities, national funding agencies comments. So the full project proposal stage, you see the content is divided in 5 main sections. We have the first section dealing with the proposal one-page description, quite simple. The project overview and implementation are the two bigger sections of the proposal, and we will see them in detail. And then, okay, the fourth, it comes the cost information table, dealing with financials, and the last section is is called contact with NFAs, the national funding authorities, because in this full project proposal stage, it is mandatory. I repeat, it is mandatory having contacted your national funding authorities, informing them about your intentions to submit the proposal, not only for the coordinator, but also for the rest of the partners in the consortium. Okay, so it is important. I will go through it after, but have in mind that you have to contact your national funding authority agency. It's important. So what I will try in each one of the sections is just to provide some comments, but I will try to focus on what the evaluator will put their attention or will focus to, what the evaluators expect to hear from the consortium in each one of the points of the proposal. It's what I will try to point or to point the focus in. So, okay, the first part is the project one-page description, just the full title, acronym, who's the coordinator, and as I was mentioning before, which technical domain from the 6 we have defined in our technology roadmap is your project closer. It could be one, it could be several of them, and also which application areas, I mean, aerospace, automotive, railway, consumer goods, capital goods, industrial components, could be your project closer to this industrial sector. It helps both technical domains and the key application areas help Smart Office to assign the most appropriate evaluators for each project. So it's important for you to make this exercise to say, okay, this is my project is closer to digital, virtual, and person-machine collaboration oriented to consumer goods and capital goods, for example. And then, okay, we will this will help us to assign good experts for your project. Then, with the project overview, the first section, the project overview is dealing with the rationale of the project. And here in the first part, it's called project statement market value chain. I provide also information about what's the maximum length expected, but this is tentative, of course. And here you will have to show the main aim that your project wants to solve, and also if there are nowadays limitations, bottlenecks, what's the need? What's the needs that the industry or the society, or there is it's a challenge, economic challenge that is asking for this development in the manufacturing. So here, evaluators will try to see if there is a good understanding of the consortia regarding the technology and business-wise about the situation. So this is the main point of this area, of this section. The next part of the proposal is called Project Innovation and Technology Value Chain. And here, what is requested is to provide specific objectives of the project. And this specific objective has to be clear, measurable, realistic, and they must be achievable during the project life. And if they are not achievable during the project life, it has to be explained how long or how much time it will take after project ends for really having these technologies in the market, or in the if there is needed some post project activities, for example. But it's important to measure these objectives in a clear, realistic way. Here, the evaluators will put the focus on the novelty of the project proposal, and if it's credible, about the credibility of if they trust you when you say that you will achieve some results, if it's really credible and also measurable that you have obtained the results. So take it into account when you define your specific objectives. Okay, the next point is dealing with the analysis of the state of the art. And here, okay, explain what's the current technological situation of the project, and what differences, what is existing you want to create, or you want to develop. Here also mention if there are some other projects you base on, and which are the differences between these projects. And this is also important because the evaluators may know or can make a search about what are in the state of the art that could jeopardize or that could put in danger the future exploitation of your results. And if they see gaps, or if they see something that is missing, it can be it can reduce the score of the state of the art, in this case of the technological approach of your project. So make a good technological and state-of-the-art analysis that that is detailed in this point, technological innovation regarding the state of the art. First, you have explained how is the state of the art, and here you have to explain what's the progress you want to include, what you want to develop. Okay, and this is important also because the evaluators in this case will try to measure or to identify if the consortium have have identified the challenges, have identified the risk, and also um, it's the project is innovative enough. The breakthrough is are innovative enough because innovation is always one of the key aspects to take into account in the proposals. So you have to be innovative. Your technologies having can be accessible nowadays in the market, but the project has to provide something else, something new, a new functionality, new service, new product, a new capacity, a new competitiveness. It could be access to new markets. I mean, there is have to be clear what's the added value of your project, and this added value have to be beyond the state of the art. This is also related to the capacity to measure the objectives and the outputs, because in this section that is called expected outputs and quantify KPIs, you will have to identify the final results of the project. You want to develop a machine, you want to develop production technology, you want to reduce the number of defects, or you want to increase the production of a particular kind of material components. So try to provide quantified KPIs. These KPIs must be smart, and it fits quite well with the smart cluster. Have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely in the sense that have to be quite quantified or spaced in time. Um, okay, but provided this when you expect to obtain them. So try to remember this SMART approach: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely KPIs. Okay. In this point, you will have also to identify risk associated to your proposal. Now, this risk could be technical risk, could be market risk, could be uh, change in the customer's requirements, and could affect the future exploitation of your results of your product. So here the reviewers, the evaluators, will have to see clear analysis, quantification of project progress during the project lifetime. And this project lifetime could be from month 0 to end the last month in the project, but even it could be far, once the project has ended and you say, okay, we expect 2 years after the project ends, we want to obtain some results okay, if you provide this kind of approaches, is more credible um, for the evaluators, these KPIs, smart KPIs. Um, the targeted impact is also important. The market analysis. Here, okay, the idea is to provide these figures about what's the market expecting. Also, the describe what is nowadays 16 or what kind of products, services in your project domain, and how you intend to deal with these 16 products, or with to be more attractive for your customers, and what your competitors can react to your developments, for example. So here you will demonstrate to the evaluators that you know perfectly how the market is, and how the future trends and evolutions will affect your project. So this market analysis is important. Here is the consortium market access, and here the idea is how you demonstrate that the partners in the consortium are able to deal with what they you say that you will deal with. I mean, the innovation has to be achievable, and you have the competences. The current partners have the competences, and even are clear identified roles in the case of exploiting the future project outcomes. Here you will have to explain the intellectual property right measures that you will take into account, and how you intend to protect your outcomes, and also explain the dissemination aspects of your proposal. So here the evaluators will focus, or will see that the consortium is credible. I mean, that you have the skills, the ability to exploit the project outcomes, if successful, of course, and generate business, and you are market oriented in the right way with these long-term goals. So important points in this consortium market. And then here it explained the cooperation added value. Here, what we would like to see, or the evaluators would like to see, is that the consortium are covering the full value chain. That there is a good rationale behind the consortium composition, that there are not gaps in the roles of the partners, and that all the main stakeholders in the consortia have been considered, and how you intend to make this international collaboration, why this international collaboration is needed in the project, and what benefits are coming from this international collaboration, how to you intend to involve end users, for example, future customers. This is important because the evaluators will see in that way that the project results will have impact in the market, and you are considering the future impact in the market. And this is the same, but dealing with technology. In this case was business level. In this case is technology level. Here it's a more technology oriented, the technological innovation, how the collaboration is established between the different partners according to the provision of these technologies for the future exploitation, how the agreements are made, if all the technologies needed for the developments are also considered. And here I put the point of the try to avoid these sleeping partners. In that means that okay, those partners are not clear which are really being expected from them, and if there is no clear roles for these partners, and try to avoid this situation. This will provide to the evaluators the clear ideas that the consortia has enough research and development competence, and skills and infrastructure, for example. Okay. And finally, there is a participants information that is about the more administrative information, both for the coordinator and for the other partners, with the legal name, legal address, what are the contact persons, the telephone, emails, and contact the visiting address. Okay, there is a Form C is accessible in our website where you can download all this information. And I will show later where you can find all this information in our website. This is the Form C in particular. So, okay, no critical information. It's just the administrative information for each one of the participants in the consortium. And then, once the main objectives, impact, and what is being expected in terms of KPIs have been identified in the previous section, it comes the third section, that is the implementation. Here, the idea is to describe the work packages that the work packages in the project. And okay, the first is the project structure. Here we have the the different breakdown structure, the different work packages, and how these work packages interact each other. So it's good to use diagrams, like paired diagrams, in order to show how the work packages, the input and output from each work package interact each other. Okay, so try to provide this period structure diagrams that helps the evaluators to see that everything fits in the right way. And then it comes the work packages descriptions. First, there is a work package overview table that with the title of the work package and the number of person months and the duration of the work package. It's quite simple. But then it comes the work packages description. And in each work package, you will have to make use of a table. It's a form, it's a template I will show later, that in which we explain, or you have to explain the timeline, starting point, which are the main objectives of the work packages, the expected results, which tasks are identified inside the work package, and also which are the main contribution from the partners involved in the work package. Okay. It's important to identify who is leading, which partner is leading the work package, and also which partners are engaged or involved in each one of the tasks in the work package. So this is important to clarify in the description of the work package. Also, it is requested to provide the definition of the deliverables coming out from this work package. Type, they could be document, they could be products, prototypes, software, okay, which is the content, confidentiality, if these deliverables are public or private for the consortia, and which is the delivery date for the deliverables. So this is the work package descriptions. Here you have the template. It's quite traditional work package description, nothing new, with the objectives, description of work, and the deliverables. And I haven't mentioned the milestones, milestone and expected results that you expect to obtain from each work package. Milestones refers to any particular development, any particular outcome. That could be an event, could be a development, could be a situation that could help, uh, in this case, a smart office, to track if the results of the project has been achieved or not, and how it will be proven that these results have been achieved. So it's good to think in good milestones that help us in this orientation. After the work packages description, there is even a table describing the milestones. As I was mentioning, a milestone should represent a significant intermediate achievement, a date or by which major results have been obtained, a subsequent phase for the work, integration of component, process simulation, monitoring. Could be, okay, any particular aspect you have achieved in your project that help us to track if the project is evolving in the right way. And in case or not, this milestone has not been achieved, you will have to explain which are the actions, the recommended actions you have implemented to to improve or to solve this situation. So this is important to think well which milestones you identify in each work package. Okay. And there it comes next the project periodic reports. So like in any other project, you will have a project duration. The project lasts 2-3 years, and you identify the periodic report of the first 12 months of the 18 months in 2 reporting periods for 3 years lasting project. This is up to you, but of course, make it in a logic way. Okay. But it is also requested to you to think, okay, what periodic reports you consider more appropriate for your project according to the project complexity or the project duration and so on. Okay, the section 4 is dealing with the financial. Then we will enter the financial information in the project. Here you will have to provide, there is an Excel sheet available in the website. I will explain later. And what is being requested here is for you to provide the cost and personal effort per partner and per year. Okay, and also to make a breakdown of the cost in terms of personnel, equipment, subcontracting. Good. Then it's preferable if you express your budget in thousands of euros, okay, and the personal effort in person months, as in many other international initiatives like Horizon 2020 or you know. Okay, try to provide the Excel template that is available in our website, and also you will have to send this original Excel document together with your full project proposal document, and it will be used by Smart Office to also to extract the information regarding the finances for the project. And then we comes to the last part of the proposal, that is the contact with the national funding authorities. As I was mentioning from the beginning, it's mandatory that all the applicants, coordinator, participating partners have to contact their respective national public authorities. In both cases, I mean, in the case of you go for the two stages, PO full project proposal, but also in the case of you apply directly to the full project proposal stage. In both cases, in this full project proposal stage is mandatory to contact your national funding authorities. And also it's mainly and highly recommendable to check with the national agencies which are, if they are national requirements in the national calls from these agencies, in which you will have to um, uh, just to allocate, or you have to make some changes in your proposal. For example, there could be a national agency that establishes that the national program um, obliges to include SMEs in the consortium, for example, in order to be eligible under national program. And if it would be the case that if this partner from that particular country are only large enterprises and one university, for example, they would be not eligible under national program. So the project will not receive the label, okay? Because as I mentioned before, both the evaluation made by SMART and the evaluation made by the national funding authorities both have to be green, have to be positive in order to receive the label. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to provide the label when you will not be able to get the funds. So it's also responsibility of each consortia to check that any national eligibility criteria are conveniently accomplished, as I was explaining right now. And of course, a smart office can provide you information and recommendations about the different national programs. We can establish, be the bridge between the partner and the national program coordinator in case you can have a problem, the agencies. We can provide any other support requested by the applicant. So rely on the smart cluster office, and we will try to make our best to provide you the information and the contact and information we could have. I will explain later where you can find the information about the national funding agencies and who are the contact persons in each country, but all the information is being collected in our website. Okay, there is another document that is it's important because it's you will have to present it along with the proposal and with the Form C of the partners. That is the declaration of acceptance. This is the declaration of acceptance you see now on the screen. All the participants will have to present this document. It has to be signed and dated by each partner, coordinator and partner. And in this document, it's been accepted the rules and regulations established by Smart Eureka cluster. This is also mandatory for all the participant entities in smart cluster projects, like in any other Eureka cluster. Okay, so this is an administrative step that you will have to fulfill and that you agree with the rules and regulations of Smart Eureka clusters. Okay, good. Uh-huh. So just in the summary, this is the information you will have to provide us. This proposal in Word format, preferably, but you can send also in PDF. But if you send us in Word, it is better. The cost information table with the financial from the partners and the declaration of acceptance for all the partners, as I was mentioning. All this information has to be provided to the following email address, the project at smarteureka.com. It's our the intention of a smart cluster to in the future have available a tool, an electronic tool that could be used by the consortia to upload all the information, and that can be also accessible by the national funding authorities and also by the evaluator experts in order to make the evaluation in the later stages. But nowadays we are working in the tool. We are establishing some contact with these software providers, and nowadays in this call we still can't offer this tool to you. So we will follow the traditional way, that is sending the information by email to us. Of course, all the information provided to the smart clusters under our rules and regulations. It will be treated confidentially by Smart, not only by Smart, also by the evaluators of Smart. They have signed it with us all the non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality agreements. And okay, this is legally protected, that I would say, the information provided for a Smart call. And okay, then just some points how the evaluation is being made of the full project proposal. Here in the screen, you see what are the aspects evaluated by the external experts, relevance of the project with the smart, if this project is dealing with advanced manufacturing technologies or not. How is the quality and efficiency of the implementation? Quality of the consortium, added value of the cooperation, realistic KPI, realistic cost structure, as I have been explaining before. All the points that the evaluators will have to will like to see in the proposals: the impact, the market, the access, the risk, competitive advantages of this international collaboration, the clear, realistic commercialization plan. Okay, but just focus on the suggestions that I pointed out in blue color in each one of the sections, because all of them cover all these aspects: the excellence and the contact with national funding authorities. That is also a mandatory point. So I will have reached the end of the Smart second call for projects, almost 1 hour, 1 hour in 5 minutes. Then this is the National Funding Authorities Programs Procedures. So I will have a look on which partners we have in which national agencies we have in our in this webinar. I see that Alicia Garcia is in the webinar, and Cristina Gouveia from Portugal is also engaged. Okay, Ira Alaburik from Croatia is also engaged in the webinar. Um, and Merete Nørby from Denmark is here too. And Miroslav. Okay, these are those national funding agencies. But what we have made in this webinar we have collected with the help of the CDTI, this Spanish National Funding Agency. We have collected all the information provided by the National Funding Authorities, the Public Authorities Board, funding procedures. So now we will explain now this in a brief way. Okay, in the case, yeah, okay, for those partners presented, for those for agencies presented, I will open the microphone. For those that are not presented, okay, we will present the funding procedure. In the case of Austria, okay. It takes 3 months before the project start to submit the national proposals for the Austrian partners to the BASIS program, that is the national program supporting a smart cluster. And the call decision, I mean, the expected funding decision for the national funding authorities from Austria takes 3 months after the funding application is submitted. Let me check if there is any comment from the national alliances. Okay. And then, okay, all the documents needed have to be sent to this email address. And the brief explanation of the procedure, the evaluation is an online procedure for the Austrian partners. It must be described only the work performed by each company, each Austrian company in the consortium, not the whole project. Also, you can upload the full project proposal document you provided to SMART, and it may be used by the Austrian agency. And it's recommendable that any Austrian partners, before applying to the national program, there is a document, project compilate. Okay, some recommendations coming from the national agency to take into account before applying for this national program. So this is from Austria. In the case of Belgium, Flanders, okay, there is a 4-6. The decision will take from 4 to 6 months after the funding application is submitted. In this case, the call deadline is an open call, and there is also an online application. There is the evaluate the objectives and impacts of employment and investment. In this case, in Flanders region, is evaluated. There is no thematic focus in this case, so in principle they are aligned with the thematic covered by SMART, and you can find all the partners from Flanders region can find additional information through this website appearing on the screen. In the case of Canada, that is also supporting interested country. In this case, there is an open call. Also, the call decision may last 3 months after the application is sent. The documents needed are under this Air National Research Council from Canada application. And there is also some comments about who's the contact person. In this case is Eric Holzbriet, is a national program coordinator for Canada for Eureka clusters. It is recommended here also for the SMEs to get in touch with the national agency, and okay, they apply regular criteria for supporting the smart cluster. But okay, you have the Canadian partners have the contact person there, and also which program is used. There is some additional information. The funding is only for profit SMEs with a maximum of 500 employees full-time equivalent. So this is the particular requirement for the Canadian partners. In the case of Portugal, hello, Cristina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Now I can. Before I didn't. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. I'm sorry. I hope that you have been hearing me. I don't know. Have
I
you?
had for the whole webinar, but when you try to unmute my
Okay.
microphone, that's when it didn't
No.
work.
Okay, thank you. I am more relaxed now. Okay, because I have been talking for more than 1 hour, and
Yeah, I've been listening.
yeah. So okay, so Cristina, we were just looking for the funding procedure from Portugal. So
Yes,
you have it in my screen, so you can go ahead with the description of
yes.
Portugal program. Go ahead, please.
Well, the information I put on the slide is not very hopefully, so it doesn't give much hope to the applicants. But it's just a matter of the schedule, because right now we are rescheduling the national funding calls. So we
Mhm.
don't have now at this point the closed calendar of the calls. But the idea is that there will be an open call, open on time in May.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the smart call will give the labels, right?
All right.
And so there will be a call to be where the candidates can apply to. Um, and in principle, that call will be dedicated to Eureka projects, which means that there will be a budget allocated only for Eureka projects, where these cluster projects are included,
Mm-hmm.
and they are divided according to the regions from where the participants come from.
Okay.
And that makes the communication of the information quite difficult because since it depends on their geographical location, the budget that they will have access to, it's not easy to understand at the beginning what the chances are for the applicants.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the idea is that the decision would be faster than our national standards because we will use um, uh, the evaluation done by the clusters.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you very much. Any further comment from your side?
No, not from my side.
Okay. Okay, good. I have to say that I will explain later also when presenting our website. All the applicants, the consortia will find information from the national funding authorities, the contact persons, website links for the different agencies in our website. And of course, we can put any interested partner in contact with the national funding program coordinators in case of needed. So thank you very much, Christina. Then we will move to the next one is Spain. So I will open the unmute Alicia. Wait a minute. Now, Alicia, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, here's Alicia.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Clearly? Yes?
Alicia, yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, this is Alicia Garcia from CTI. Okay, um, I would like to say that from Spain, the funding procedure is an online procedure that I will explain in detail later. And it's an open call. We don't have deadlines during the year. It's an open call. And the funding decision is expected 3 months after the national and complete, of course, funding
Mhm.
application is submitted.
Okay.
Um, I've shown here the documents needed for apply to CTI aids. Okay, but I would like to show the next point, the next step, because okay, I will try to explain the procedure, and during the explanation of our procedure, I will mention the documents showed before. Okay, so as I mentioned, it's an online procedure that after getting the Smart Eureka label, the Spanish company or the Spanish partnership, in the case that more than one company is involved in the proposal, um, they must submit to our website an international application. Okay, it's what we call the R&D international application. Es the proyecto de cooperación tecnológica internacional. Okay, and the type of Eureka project. They must choose an Eureka project. For
Mhm.
submit that application, the international application, in our website, the consortium, the Spanish consortium, must provide the full project proposal. They must provide a technical report that is the full project proposal, and also the label, the smart label. And what I would like to highlight is that just one Eureka application We need just one Eureka application, even though there are more than one Spanish companies involved in a project. We need that the Spanish partnership submit just one Eureka application for every smart proposal, of course.
Mhm.
And then we will review the documents that has been submitted, and if everything is okay, we, CTI, will provide a link for every Spanish company in order they submit their R&D national funding application. They have a limit, or they have a deadline to submit that national funding application.
Okay.
That is
Mhm.
20 days. And for that national funding application, the documents needed are an R&D technical report in Spanish and the financial statements of each company.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that is our procedure. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
For further information, you can, or the companies can phone me, of course, and they can consult our website.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Alicia. And yeah. I've, okay. All the information is available through the CDTI website, and also, as Alicia mentioned, all the applicants can contact directly to her, or to the Smart Office as well, and we will just put in contact with the in this case with Alicia Gonzalez. Oh, Alicia Garcia, sorry. So, okay, good. And then we will move further to the next country, that is Slovenia. Okay, here no information has been provided, so I will skip. And then we have Sweden. So in the case of Sweden, the national code deadline, it takes approximately 1 month after the approval of the label, and the decision for the funding, it comes 3-4 months after submitting the application. So as you see, in most of the countries, the national decision lasts between 3 to 4 months. In this case, the documents needed are also the national project application from the Sweden's partners, and here the procedure, the approved the Eureka label and national applications will be submitted to Binnova. In this case, Binnova is the national agency for Sweden. And this application to be submitted to Binnova has to be made only by the Swedish consortium, of course. And the Swedish consortium will be called to an interview in Binnova, and Binnova makes the decision about the Swedish application. So this is important. Okay, and additional information about which are the requirements from Binnova for the national partners appear here in the link provided, and also earlier seminar about the code that is also available, that was made by Binnova. Okay, the information can be accessible from the Binnova website and also from the Smart website as well. In the case of Switzerland, it's an open call as well. And the documents needed appears on the website from Switzerland. There is also some additional information to be provided. Only one consortium from Switzerland of one company, one university can apply. I mean, it's mandatory to have this both industry plus university research center. It's a 50-50. It's a pretty balanced participation in the Switzerland consortium, and the academic partners in this case are fully funded by the national agency from Switzerland national agency, and the companies in this case have to be self-funded and pay 10% of the funding contribution to the research organization. As you see in this case, Switzerland has a particular funding requirements of funding characteristics of the national program. And sorry, the expected call decision is 2 months after the submission. Good. In the case of Turkey, also the deadline is an open call. The decision lasts 3 months after the funding has been submitted, and no information regarding the document. But okay, information for Turkey's partners is being provided by Tubitak is the National Funding Agency. And of course, again, you can relay in the Smart Office. We can put you in contact with the National Program Coordinator. In this case is Burak Tiftik from Tubitak, is the person in charge of Eureka Smart Cluster for Turkish partners. Good. So we are reaching the last part of the webinar. It's almost 12 o'clock, 1 hour and a half. So we are, I think, in a good time. And then some hints for preparing a good proposal. I have been explaining during the second full project proposal phase what the evaluators could be expecting from you in each one of the sections. And these are more okay hints that more open or more general hints about how you can prepare your proposals. And this is something that we have elaborated from the Smart Office. That is a general application, not only for Smart, even for other initiatives like Horizon 2020 or Horizon Future, Horizon Europe, or even in your national initiatives, but also in Smart. So why not to mention here? First, there are not magic formulas. That's clear. Only the quality, the commitment, the good job can offer success possibilities when preparing a good proposal. So this is something that you have to take into account, not only for the coordinator, also for the partners involved in the proposal. There has to be this commitment, and all the partners involved in the preparation of the proposal have to provide quality information, have to commit themselves. So this is something really important. Who is your customer in the case when you prepare the proposal? The customer is the evaluator, okay? She is a scientific or industrialist that who will evaluate the proposal, but have in mind that the really customer when you write your proposal is the evaluator. In this case, Smart, the Eureka Cluster Smart, we only are the prescriber in the sense that we set the tools, they launch the calls, identify the evaluators or select evaluators, the best evaluator for your proposal, help you to construct your consortia, establish the contact with the national funding authorities, but the customer is the evaluator, okay? And what is being requested by your customer, in this case by the evaluator, first, to have clarity in the content, in the structure. To write in understandable English, for sure, to be direct on your message, not to write, no, I would say 100, not 100, but many pages with just rough text, to be direct in your messages, to be clear and concise in your messages. Also, to have a good scientific and technical excellence. Have a good quality, to be quantitative in your KPIs, in your results, give response to actual and real problems. Don't invent something that is not being requested by the market, and this has to do with the future exploitation of your results. Try to be competitiveness, cost effectiveness, to be rigorous with regarding the state of the art. This is important because the evaluators will put the focus on that issues, and they will try to be critic, and of course they will try to be constructive, but the evaluators first, they may be critic and they will try to find the weak points. So as far as you are not providing them these weak points and these gaps or this missing information, okay, the evaluators will have a good consideration for your proposal because it's good, it's innovative, it has a good approach to the market, engage the right consortia. The consortium is competent, is well balanced, is properly equipped in terms of infrastructure, in terms of skills, abilities. It's not overlapped. I mean, you don't have several partners playing the same role. And also you are covering all the requested roles in your project, as I have been explaining when defining the full project proposal sections. The coordinator leads, but all the partners participate and have a clear role. take care with be careful with the friends. I mean, with those partners that, okay, we have been collaborating in one project some years ago, and you participated by consortium without a clear role, without a clear added value, because you are a colleague, you are a friend. Take care with these kind of partners in your consortia, because at the end it's really difficult to defend and to explain why are they in your proposals. And also take care regarding budgets. Not have partners just covering most of the activities. Try to balance a little bit, not only from the participant point of view, but also from the country's point of view. Try to be balanced as much as possible. And of course, dealing with results that to be exploitable, the intention, exploitation intentions have to be clear from the proposal stage. A reliable business plan is more than welcome. I mean, if you present a good state of the art and how you will go beyond the state of the art, which are the risks, which are the commercialization channels you will use, which are the intellectual property rights you will set for to protect your future outcomes. I mean, this business plan, if you can make use, for example, of a canvas approach in which you identify the technologies you need for developing the project and how are they protected, which other situation of the market or trends could put some in danger your exploitation. As I mentioned, which channels will make use, how you will evaluate the market size and the approach to the market, which other partners you will need to identify in the future for bringing the results to the market. I mean, these kinds of approaches that are trusts and make your business plan robust and reliable. This is important because indeed in that case the evaluators will see that the project partners are really committed and are really interested to obtain the result. It's not just a financial, only a financial interest or getting the funds from the national funding agencies, but there is also a commercial, there is also business interest behind the proposal. And then, okay, as I promised at the beginning, I will try to show you what's how our smart website looks like. So, okay, if you go to smarteureka.com, you will enter in our, okay, this is the main website. And then here in submit your proposal, you will find all the information. You have the call process. I mean, how many days are still for the deadline? And also not only for the deadline, today it left 35 days, but for providing the label that we expect to provide the label in the 10th of May. It's 91 days for the provision of the label, but the important is this one, 35 days. Also, it appears here the funding and the countries, as I mentioned, supporting countries. And here you can find which country, in this case Austria, who is the contact person. Irina Slosar is a program coordinator. What's the email for in this case for Irina, and also what's the website of the national agency. In this case, is FFG, is the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, where you can find information about the national program. It is the same for Belgium, Chile, Czech Republic, Denmark, Lithuania, Norway, all the supporting countries, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, and United Kingdom. Craig Sharp, Innovate UK in that case. And also the interested countries, the same information for Canada, Germany, who's the person and who is the email, and the link to the national funding agency. Okay. So all this information is here. And then eligibility and selection criteria, as I have been explaining, the relevance, the quality, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The PO stage. In this case, what is important for you is more the FPP stage, this is the full project proposal stage, and which are the steps. Describe your project, And then you can here download the template, the financial template, the Excel. Oh, you can download also from this link. Declaration of acceptance is the declaration that you will have to sign, all the partners, and all these documents have to be sent to projects at smarteureka.com. Documents and templates is also an important part of the website, because here you can find all the documents, the general documents, I mean, explaining what's smart, our rules and regulations, the technology roadmap with the 6 technological domains I have been explaining before. Also, how is the expert and evaluation phase, expert selection and evaluation phase, what aspects are being considered by the evaluators, and how the evaluation is made. And also for the project outline and for the full project proposal stage, all the templates, participant profiles, financial templates, all the guidelines for with instructions how to fulfill the full project proposal, and the declaration of acceptance. Okay. Even we include a project consortium agreement that in case of the project is finally labeled, you will have the consortium will have to fulfill this consortium agreement, establishing for future relationship among the partners, how the property of the results will deal with access to existing knowledge. Or, okay, like in any other international project, the consortium agreement that has to be presented once the project has received the label. After receiving the label, okay, and the project is being executed and starts, it's possible to request change to the project, including new partners, or withdrawing other partners, or requesting changes on the work packages, or how to make the reporting of the project, and how to make the progress report. Okay, but this is once your project has received the label. So here you have all the information, and as mentioned, okay, the project calls, it refers to the dates and the deadlines. Now we are in the second call of SMART in the full project proposal that is closing the 15th March 2019. Okay, and we expect to provide the SMART labels by the 10th of May. And then we have the project looking for partners. That is also an interesting web site in our web page, because here you can access those projects, and you see there are a lot of projects that are looking for partners, and you can see that you can download the project as a short presentation of the project, who is the contact person, which kind of partners they are looking for, companies or SMEs, large entities, or end users, and if they are countries, specific countries they would like to the partner sought comes from. For example, if I go to this one, advanced cobot robot capabilities, it's a Peter Kestelot is the requesting the coordinator, and for example I can open and it appears, okay, it says it's a short presentation about what they are intend to do, in this case to develop this kind of robots, with some information, and also with the vision, and okay, the different work packages. In this case, Series is the company in the coordinating this proposal, and also which are their current partners identified, and who's the information for the contact person, and if okay, that the information. If you are interested, for example, in this particular proposal, you can put in contact with in this case with Series, and then access or just apply yourself to be a partner on them. And in the same way, if you will have a proposal, a project idea, and you will be looking for some specific partner, you can contact the Smart Office with the same project template and fill in this information. And then we will show your project idea along all these others. Okay, so this is also open for you. And I think I have reached the final section of the webinar. That is the questions and answers. And first, I will check um, if there are raised hands. Any of you have raised your hand? So now is the time. If you would like to make a question, please raise your hand, and then I will open the microphone for you. So the first I see the Anna McCrea has risen the hand. So Anna,
Yes, hello. Do you hear me?
yes, Anna, we can hear
Hello?
you loud and clear. Can you hear
It's,
me? Yes, Anna.
yes, you do hear me. Hi, my
Okay,
name is
go ahead.
Dr. Anna McRae. I'm from UK, and I represent a company called ThinkWell Consulting, but I am an evaluator. And I just would like to make a couple of short comments. Comment number one, in my past evaluations, I have received proposals which didn't have the partner's information sheet fully filled up. So I couldn't assess if the company was big enough, or is it a well-established company? Would they be capable of performing the tasks they are listed for in proposals? So I would very much like to flag this out and ask whoever is sending the proposals forward to make sure that the company's information is fully filled up.
Okay.
So that's comment number one. And comment number two is about the risks. I have received proposals in the past which had risks sort of casually mentioned here and there, and one sentence here and there. And I think the risks are assessment of risk is incredibly important for the proposals, because it makes the proposer to realize where are the places, where are the hotspots in their proposals, and also give us the reassurance that they actually are aware that things may go wrong, and they do go wrong, and what are their mitigation plans and actions. And also I think in the proposal, in the section 2.23 and then 3.3, 2.23, we're talking about mainly the marketing risks and the technical risks. But I think the other type of risks, like resource risks, scheduling, scope risks, are also incredibly important. So I would very much would love to see a request in the proposal for a proper risk assessment table, when the risks are qualified, quantified, and the proper mitigation plans are anticipated.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna, for your feedback. To your first comment on this lack of information for the partners, that not all the partners in the consortium were already identified. And I have to say that in the PO phase, it's not requested that the consortium is fully identified. I mean, there could be gaps, or there could be roles that are not still covered in the PO phase and will be fulfilled in the full project proposal stage. So this is the first comment to your first.
I was actually
feedback.
talking about full project proposals, because I've already been assessing full project proposals in
Okay.
the past. So
In
that
that,
relates actually to the full project proposals, my
okay,
comment.
thank you. But in that case, okay, of course, this is something that the consortia have to be be careful about, as I has been explaining, to be sure that all the roles needed to cover the proposal. I mean, all the actors needed to develop to have a successful proposals are already in the consortia. This is okay.
Because it's quite worrying sometimes that we don't know if the company is big enough, it has the right experience, it has expertise to perform the task. You've mentioned in your presentation the so-called friends companies, and that would really help to eradicate those. So thanks.
Definitely. And regarding the risk, we of course we include there all the risk dealing with the market, the technology exploitation, and those those aspects, the risk that could jeopardize the future exploitation of the project outcomes. And we could include some others, like as you mentioned, even from resources or from, yeah, but we leave to the consortia just to identify themselves which are the main, or what they could consider the most jeopardizing aspects or risk. But okay, anyway, thank you very much, yeah, Anna, for your comment. Then I will move to see if some other, yeah, uh, yes, and okay, I don't see more raise hands, but I will check in the questions. So, for example, we have one question from Ismail Sadekli. What will happen if one of the countries in the consortium cannot get the funding? Does it affect the consortium? And of course, Ismail, in that case, if one country fails, it's okay. It can put in danger the consortium and the project, in the sense that that the project outcomes couldn't be reached or couldn't be achieved as originally proposed, or as it was evaluated in the when label the project. So in that sense, we start a process of trying to solve the situation by either trying to identify um, other partners that could fulfill the roles for those withdrawing partners or countries. And in case not replacement is being found to these partners or this country, then of course the project fails and cannot be started. So it could have been affected for sure. That's important. That is important for, as we have been mentioning during the webinar, to keep close contact with the national funding authorities to be sure that the thematic covered by your project aligns perfectly with the national programs. And even if there is some, we have found, for example, countries that put the focus on particular topics to say, okay, in 2019, this country will found only medical manufacturing technologies, or manufacturing technologies oriented to automotive sector. Okay, in that case, if the partners are applying for aerospace or for consumer goods, and the only sector to be supported by the country is the automotive, it's good to know from the beginning. Otherwise, you will be losing your time, losing your effort. Huh? Okay, so take this into account. Okay, then let me see. Right, there are several of you requesting if will it be possible to get the presentation after the webinar. I said both the presentation and the webinar are being recorded, so you will get it. I just want to say the limit of budget, 66%. Okay, Sophie Charpentier said the limit for the budget 60% with Eureka, not the 66%. Okay, as far as we know, in Eureka, the balance, the distribution of the budget said they put this 66% of the balance, and it's the one we have been following in the previous code as well. But okay, of course, we can check it. How is it now about the distribution of the budget from the partners? Yes, no more open questions. Let's see if some of you have raised the hand. I can see no more raise hands risen. Rosen. Let me check. Tuck, 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 tuck. No. Okay, so no more questions from my side. It's 8 minutes to 12:30, so almost 2 hours of webinar. It was my intention to close the webinar in 2 hours. So I appreciate very much your participation, your comments. We have been 35 people engaged. Now we are 36 people engaged at this moment, with a 97% of following the webinar. So it's a good number. This 97% measures how much the people has been attending, has been just following the webinar, or has been doing some other things. So I am happy to see this high number, this high percentage. So thank you again to all of you. Nothing more from the Smart Office. Nothing to say that please take into account the 15th of March as the deadline for the full project proposal, and you will have all the information and the templates. Keep in contact with the Smart Office, with me, or with the Smart Program Manager, that is Aritz Arteche from Smart Office, that most of you know as well. And here are for serving you in everything you need. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And thank you again. Goodbye.